Matthew Hargrove here with you as we are well underway now. Joan Leg Gaetano on the bump and Moon leading off for the Tortugas. First pitch is cracked down the left field line, and we are off and running. Moon on his way to second base. Not even allowing us time to breathe up here in the booth and everybody to get settled in before Bernard Moon has leadoff double against Joan Leg Gaetano. And like I said, we are off and running here in downtown Bradenton, Florida. Here's the starting lineup for Daytona 1 through 9. It goes Moon, Nunez, Lentigua, Doucette, Torres, Davies, Cano, Hairston, and Francis is rounding out the lineup, making his first appearance this week against the Marauders. Pablo Nunez is the next batter for Daytona. Shows bunt, pulls it back, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Well, glad that you could join us once again on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. It is a really big weekend. We have a couple of games actually on Sportsnet Pittsburgh this weekend, but it's some massive games coming up for the Marauders. And if you've been keeping up with the team, or maybe if you haven't and you're kind of newer to this club, this week it's been really magical. The 1-0 is a bunt down the third base side. Gaetano, back-footed throw, is late. Well, Daytona has been really struggling to hit with runners in scoring position, and they haven't been scoring a lot of runs through these first two games against Bradenton, and this is a perfect start for a team that is trying to continue their ways in the second half. It just really didn't go to plan. In the first half, they got off to a 5-3 start, but they've had back-to-back walk-off losses, and that's what I was about to mention. It's been an insane week for this Marauders team. Back-to-back wins on walk-off hits. Here's now Arnaldo Lentigua. Lentigua has been one of the more important players for Daytona really the entire season. Cracks it foul into the netting, and it's no balls and 1 strike. But overall, it's kind of been an up and down year. You know, he kind of struggled in the beginning, and in the middle of the first half, he was sent down to rookie ball, and he got his mind right, comes back to the Tortugas, and he has been one of their best hitters. And we've really seen it this week at Lecom Park. It seems like this has been more so of a top-heavy lineup. Now, Henley is not in the lineup tonight for Daytona, and he has been insane, especially with his speed, and that's a massive break for the Marauders. But it seems like Lentigua, every single time that he makes contact, it has been sharp, and it's been towards the outfield. They've had to make some nice plays, but he's at some extra bases, and there's been some loud contact. So Daytona is trying to get out early on Joan Leg Gaetano, who is 0-1 with a 3.71 ERA. Fastball just misses inside, and it's 3 balls and a strike. Over Gaetano's last 2 outings, it really hasn't been himself, because throughout his early professional career with the Pirates, he has been ridiculous. Runs the count full with 3 balls and 2 strikes. Actually, his last outing here at Lecom Park was against the St. Lucie Mets, and it was maybe his worst outing of his professional career. He allowed 4 runs over just 2 innings, and he ended up walking 3 guys. 3-2. Just off the black, and already the bases are loaded for Daytona. And this is one of the things that is unusual from Gaetano over his last 2 outings. Now, I say last 2 outings like they've been back-to-back. There's been some time in there because something just really wasn't right with his body. He was having some trouble with his back. Is already Ty Doucette is called for a pitch clock violation, so that helps out Gaetano, and the count begins at 0-1. But Gaetano was not feeling great. He goes on the 7-day injured list. He's out for a month and then returned last week. Doucette was able to mash a solo homer to get the Daytona lineup going in the later innings. But once again, the Tortugas just weren't able to get those big extra base hits consistently. And going back to the command issues for Gaetano, and it's crazy that I'm saying that because this is somebody who has shown throughout his entire career that he loves to fill up the strike zone. But over his last 3 outings, he's now up to 8 walks. Swing and a miss. Nice fastball at 94 miles per hour. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gaetano has a 5-pitch mix. He loves the sinker and cutter combination. That fastball, the 4-seamer is going to run up to about 92, 94. This is up and out, and now there is nowhere to put Ty Doucette. A double by Moon, single by Nunez, and a walk by Lantigua. Nobody out, and a 3-2 pitch to Ty Doucette. Here it is. A swing and cracks it on the ground. Ovalle has it. Spins, fires to second, relay to first. Is not in time. Moon scores from third, and it's an early 1-0 lead for the Tortugas.
Shortstop number 2, Rafael Torres.
Here's a quick look at the defense on the Marauders side. Left to right in the outfield, it goes Halgary, Brazoban, and King Jr. Iredale is at third. Pimentel at short, Ovalle at second, Mola at first, and Edglin Perez is the battery mate with Gaetano. 1 gone now, and here's Rafael Torres. %31% of the time Gaetano goes with that sinker, and then 25% it's the cutter. 18% with a 4-seam fastball. He'll mix in a changeup. He throws it under 10%, but when he does, it seems like it's really effective, and he gets a lot of ground ball outs with it. Launched into center field. It stays high enough for Brazoban to make the play, and the runner has to go back to third. Well, this is another problem for Daytona. Now, they still have some time left. There's still only 2 outs, and here's Drew Davies now. But the problem for the Tortugas in these first couple of games is they've had the bases loaded with either nobody out and 1 out, and then they end up ending the inning with just that 1 run, and it still gives life for the Marauders because they're thinking, oh, we basically got out of a jam. Out of play, and it's no balls and 1 strike.
Baseball bingo, bases loaded, B14.
Baseball bingo on this thirsty Thursday at Lecom Park. On the ground, Iredale at third, scoops it up, and that's the end of the top of the first inning. Tortugas get 1, Gaetano works out of a jam, and Marauders with the bats when we come back. You're watching Marauders Baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. So thanks for hanging out with us on this thirsty Thursday in Bradenton, Florida. Antonio Pimentel leads off, and the first offering to the leadoff man. Smacks it out of play over the third base dugouts, and quickly no balls and 1 strike. Davey Villafana is on the mound tonight for Daytona. He was really good last time out. A lot of these pitchers for the Tortugas have been really good, most recently. Pimentel skies this one right behind the third base bag. Cano camps under it and hauls it down for out number 1. Here's the lineup tonight for the Marauders. Pimentel, King Jr., and Perez 1 through 3. Middle of the lineup is Ramirez, Brazoban, and Iredale, and then Halgary, Mola, who is making his Lecom Park debut with the Marauders, and then Frederick Ovalle rounds up the lineup at second base. Villafana sets up on the third base side of the rubber, and the offering to Eddie King Jr. is a fastball up and in. 1 ball and no strikes. King Jr. has been really good if you go back to last weekend against the Palm Beach Cardinals. And when I mean good, I mean it seems like every single game since the Marauders played that last Friday night against Palm Beach, it has been extra base hits everywhere. This one's down the right field line, but it heads to the seats, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's been extra base hits. It's been multi-hit games. He started this series off going over, but last night he was able to make up for it and was really the star of the show, other than Richard Ramirez, who had that walk-off single. But King Jr. had 3 hits last night. Check swing, did he go? No, he did not, and it's 2-2. Villafana is 22 years old. He grew up in the Dominican Republic and was signed as an international free agent a couple of years ago by the Cincinnati Reds organization. A chopper right back to Villafana. He gobbles it up, underhand flip to first, and it's 2 up and 2 down. Here's now a look at the defense for the Tortugas. Davies in left, Nunez in center, Hairston in right, Cano at the hot corner. Torres is at short, Moon at second, Doucette is at first, and Francis is doing the catching. First offering to Eglin Perez now. Pops it up right side of the infield. The second baseman, Moon, hovering near it. Oh, and he dropped it. A play that I'm sure if you asked him, he would say that he's got to make. And it just kind of seemed like he was jogging over to the baseball and wasn't able to really camp under it. He was still on the move as this ball was heading towards shallow right field. And you can see he's just continued to go left, and that's just a simple drop. It is ruled a base hit, so that is actually Eglin Perez's first hit of the week. Richard Ramirez takes a fastball up and in. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Hey, any way that you can take him, especially at this level, you definitely will. Ramirez was last night's hero. He's really been maybe the most consistent hitter for the Marauders over the last week. He had a phenomenal month of June. He hit over 300. I'm sure he was as disappointed as anybody to see the calendar flip over to July. Goes after a fastball way above the zone, and it's 2-1. But he got the walk-off rally started on Tuesday with a double down the right field line. It actually came with 2 outs. He eventually scored on the RBI single from Halgary. Smacks it into right field. Going back is Hairston at the warning track near the bullpen. And Richard Ramirez continues this torrid stretch. He is red hot, and he puts the Marauders up 2-1. And that one definitely comes back to bite Moon at second base. I mean, if he catches this baseball, like again, I know it was ruled a hit, and because it was ruled a hit, this is a couple of earned runs on Villafana. But it's a play that I would imagine he would tell you that he should have made, and now it's a 2-1 lead for the Marauders. Braylon Bradenton out in front of a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. I mean, Richard Ramirez has turned into a very reliable, middle-of-the-bat kind of guy. And it wasn't so easy going to begin the year. He started the season on the injured list. He joined the Marauders in late April, actually the very last game of the month of April against the Clearwater Threshers. And during the month of May, he struggled at the plate. But that first series in June against the Jupiter Hammerheads, he was amazing, and he just took off from there. 0-2 pitch. Check swing. Appeal down to first. He did not go around. Bradenton. Hard on the ground to the shortstop, Torres. He scoops it up, sidearm throw to first. And that puts it into the bottom of the first inning. Richard Ramirez gives the Marauders a 2-1 lead as we head to the second. for the next couple of nights, but he is ready to go. Joan Leg Gaetano gets out number one here in the top of the second. Ichiro Kano with just a little dribbler out in front of home plate, and a really nice play from Edglin Perez. We talk all the time about the leadership of Perez and his agility at that catcher spot. I mean, he's a bigger guy, and the athleticism to come halfway all the way to the mound and make that play on a bare hand. It's pretty impressive stuff from the Pirates' number 20 prospect. So one pitch, one out. Here's now Jalen Hairston. Smacks it out of play down the third base side. No balls and one strike. I would imagine that it's pretty cool for Hairston to be playing at Lecom Park because he actually played his college ball in this area at Florida Manatee Sarasota. Ovalle unable to make the play on a rocket in his direction. King Jr. picks it up. That goes down as a base hit for Jalen Hairston. Well, for just somebody being 19 years old, you're not seeing a lot of ground balls hitting your direction. It really was a line drive. You get to see him dart out of the way, trying to field the baseball to his side. Obviously a really tough play for Ovalle, who has actually been playing some really good defense over the last week. Ian Francis takes a fastball in the inside corner. A 92-mile-per-hour heater from Gaetano. This is a big inning for Joan Leg. He's still trying to come back from the injured list. He needs a scoreless inning to really give himself some rhythm. Oh! That got Francis in the helmet. Thankfully, he seems to be okay. The athletic trainer for the Tortugas is on the top step of the dugout, and usually you'll see, I feel like you'll see trainers come out to check on him. It really doesn't matter in that situation. When they take a ball near the dome or in the shoulder area or the neck area, you'll see it doesn't matter if they say they're okay. The training staff will head out. As here's another look. I mean, that got him square. Thankfully, that pitch looks like a cutter from Gaetano, so Francis stays in the game for now. Second and first, still one out, and the lineup turns over for Bernard Moon. Gaetano goes to the plate. Misses inside, one ball and no strikes. Well, Gaetano is just 20 years old. We've already mentioned how he's had a stellar start to his professional career, and that goes all the way back to last season when he was one of the best pitchers in this organization. Pickoff moved second. Very fitting because it felt like the majority of the time when the Marauders were out on the field today, it was about pitchers practicing their pickoff moves to second. So maybe Gaetano just showing off the work that he's putting in. That one's at the knees, and the count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. Gaetano made his single-A debut on April 25th. That was against the Clearwater Threshers, and he was really good. He went 4 innings, allowed just 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 strikeout, but he really started to catch some eyes at the single-A level. It was right before he went on the injured list. It was a road trip against the Lakeland Flying Tigers, and he threw 6 no-hit innings. Off the end of the bat, Perez out of the crouch, picks it up foul. But 6 no-hit innings, that was one of the weirdest weeks of the year for the Marauders because they had 3 guys that week. One of them actually did win Florida State League Pitcher of the Week, but there was 3 guys that could have won that award. Gaetano had 6 no-hit innings. Levi Sterling had 5 no-hit innings. On the ground, Gaetano goes to second. It's picked by Ovalle for the outs. That could have been a lot worse. Probably should have been a double play, but Gaetano froze up when trying to decide where to throw this baseball. At the very least, they get 1 out. And there's 2 gone in the inning for Pablo Nunez. Yeah, if Gaetano immediately when he fielded the baseball, if he would have just gone to second, even on a bad throw, Ovalle was still able to pick it. It was hit so sharply back to Gaetano that they still probably would have been able to turn the double play, but that slight hesitation about going to third. So here's the first offering to Nunez. It misses low and inside with the breaking pitch. Cutter that time in 91. Two to one lead for Bradenton after the Richard Ramirez two-run blast in the bottom of the first. Just off the plate. 2 balls and no strikes. In 2025, Gaetano was named the Pirates Rookie-Level Pitcher of the Year. He went 2-2 with 5 saves and a .93 ERA with 39 strikeouts. He was part of the Dominican Summer League postseason All-Star team. Did allow an earned run in only 2 of his 13 regular season appearances, so I mean that's really good from Gaetano. Picked by Perez, 3 balls and a strike. Maybe the biggest development though for Jonle Gaetano is his velocity. When he was signed by the Pirates, his fastball was sitting at about 88 to 92 miles per hour. Now it's pretty much 92 to 95. He can get up to 95 miles per hour. We'll consistently see him if he tops out in the game at 94. Off the plates, and it's another walk from Gaetano. So back-to-back innings, and the Tortugas have been able to load the bases against Gaetano, and this is one of the last guys that you want to face with the bases juiced. It's Arnaldo Lantigua. Still 2 outs, and the first pitch, Lantigua takes a strike that hit the top line of the strike zone, and it's 0-1, but a challenge is coming up from Lantigua. Big call here, and it is a strike, so Daytona is already down to 1 remaining. Lantigua is a newer member to this Cincinnati Reds organization after he was acquired in a trade with the Los Angeles Dodgers in January of 2025. It was for international bonus pool money, and that space was used by the Dodgers to sign Japanese star Roki Sasaki. But the Cincinnati Reds organization, they really like Lantigua. Just misses below the knees. 2 balls and a strike. On a number of prospect rankings, Lantigua is top 20. Really profiles as a power over hit kind of guy. Launches this one into right field. That drops down for a base hit. 2 runs are going to score. Throw goes into third, and it's not in time. 2 RBI single from Lantigua, and we are going back and forth in the first couple of innings here at Lecom Park. 3-2 Daytona. 2-1 pitch, and that was a 91 mile per hour fastball that was middle. I mean, just pretty much like hitting off a tee that time where the ball was placed for Lantigua. He was able to stay back, and that's what you probably love if you're in that third base dugout about that swing from Lantigua, is that he stayed on the baseball and wasn't trying to do too much. Doucette pops it up. Third base side, Iredale, does he have some room? Yes, he does. And that is a big out number 3. 2 more runs for the Tortugas. They're up 3-2 as we head to the home half of the second. This is Marauders baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Now, I got to be honest with you. I can't pull off the chest hair look. I mean, there's nothing there, but that's pretty awesome. Here's Brent Iredale. Breaking ball on the outside corner. It's in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Villafana is back on the bump for Daytona. Line drive down the left field line. Iredale's thinking too. He gets stuck in the corner, and it's an easy leadoff double for Brent Iredale. Well, I guess we've been waiting to see when we're going to have another game like we saw consistently when the Marauders were taking on the Palm Beach Cardinals. Every single game, it felt like this, where there was a handful of runs in the first couple of innings. And the first couple of games in this series against the Tortugas, there has been none of that. It has been a really good pitching, or some really good pitching matchups, but the offense coming alive in the early going. Chopper up the middle, Torres has it. And one gone in the bottom of the second, but Haugery does a job and moves Iredale into third. Well, that's something as well that over this 2-week stretch where it's really been all about the offense for the Marauders. They've been doing a much better job of moving guys over. Now, they still need to do a better job of it, but there's been a little bit more discipline on that front. Infield playing in on Raymond Mola. Mola is playing in his first game at Lecom Park in a Bradenton Marauders uniform. He just joined the team last week against Palm Beach and started in a couple of games at first base. Smacks it into center field. Nunez going back. He hauls it down, but Iredale basically walks home from third, and a great job from Mola to tie the game on the sacrifice flyout. Well, everything that the Marauders did in that inning, that is just beautiful baseball. And it's, again, something that they just haven't been able to do consistently all that often. Frederick Ovalle takes a fastball high, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. It's the clutch hitting, the extra base hits when leading off innings, and then moving runners over. I mean, everything. If they're able to do that a lot better here in the second half, you can really start to think that this Marauders team is going to go on a run. Bradenton is 5-6 to begin the second half. Daytona at 5-5. But the Tortugas do have a record that is at the very bottom of the Florida State League overall. They lost their 50th game yesterday. On the ground up the middle and through into right center field. So Frederick Ovalle trying to kickstart a 2-out rally. And here comes the top of the lineup in Antonio Pimentel. Seemed like Ovalle maybe got a little jam there, but there was still some really good velocity off the bat, and he was able to get it past Moon and into right center field. And speaking of guys who have been good, Frederick Ovalle has been excellent at the plate. Antonio Pimentel is 0 for 1. He popped out to third back in the first inning. Pimentel is trying to increase his hitting streak to 5 games. Overall, he's batting .244. He's about to play in his 60th game. He'll do that this weekend. He's playing in number 59 tonight. 3 home runs and 22 RBIs, and he's worked a ton of walks at 31. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He still leads the team in steals with 22. He has been thrown out in a crucial spot during this series, though. It seems like it's been a while since we've seen a handful of steals from him. Socks this one to deep right center field, but moving into the gap is Hairston. And he makes the catch for out number 3. Marauders get 1 back, knotted up at 3 as we head to the third. You're watching Marauders Baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Thirsty Thursday here at Lecom Park as we are ready to begin the third inning. 3-3 between the Daytona Tortugas and the Bradenton Marauders. Rafael Torres takes a fastball up and out, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Well, Jonle Gaetano, who is still trying to get comfortable ever since coming back from the 7-day injured list last week, is back on the bump. Skies this one down the left field line. Calgary moving towards it, but he's not able to get there. We said it to open up the game. For Gaetano, it really for anybody trying to come off the injured list, it just feels like it means a little bit more for these guys. And there's always maybe something in the back of their mind where, am I going to have the same production before the injury as I did after? And obviously not saying that that's something that Gaetano's going through, but you just wonder if that is in the minds of some of these guys who are coming off the injured list, and you're seeing them struggle a little bit, because Gaetano was one of the best pitchers for the Marauders before he went on the injured list. It seems like every single night that he was on the bump, he was going to give you 5 innings and not allow more than 3 runs. Looking for a strikeout, 2-2. Is a bouncer foul. We touched on the arsenal earlier, but Gaetano, having conversations with him, he really does love that sinker-cutter combination, and it's because his pitches have so much movement on it. Down the right field line, towards the corner, but no, it is fair. No, it's foul. It's foul. Or actually a ground rule double. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It's a ground rule double, actually. Let's have a look at the replay. Yeah, it landed fair and then hopped over the wall. So a ground rule double. And another good start to this inning for Daytona. Brings up Drew Davies, but time is called as Edglin Perez, the catcher, wants to have a conversation with Gaetano. And maybe that's what's really happening right now with the sinker and cutter, is the movement just hasn't been there. You know, last inning when he was pitching to Lantigua with the bases loaded, he tried to throw that sinker at 91 miles per hour, and it basically just turned into a fastball. And it was middle, and he tried to get it in on his hands, it looked like. And just maybe he's not getting that proper spin that was just really working out for him. Nowatakis is warming up in the Marauders bullpen. There was a pitch limit last time out for Gaetano. And I can imagine that there's a pitch limit here in just his second outing since coming off the injured list, but it's a little bit higher, obviously. He threw 36 pitches against the Cardinals. He's about to throw pitch number 46. Pops out of the mids up Perez, but he tracks it down the third base side. 3 balls and no strikes. And it really does seem like that this is probably going to be the last batter that he faces, especially if this ends up a 4-pitch walk. He's right around that kind of period where you want to see a guy in his next time around go like about 10 more pitches, and now Gaetano balked. So Torres is awarded third, and the go-ahead run is 90 feet away. Infield moves in. 3 balls and a strike. And if you're Gaetano on the bump, what are you thinking about getting out of this inning with as far as your pitches? Smacks it into left field. Calgary moving towards the line, makes the catch on the run. Here comes the tag from third. The throw to the plate is a touch late. An RBI for Drew Davies, and Daytona is back up 4-3. And that's going to do it for Joanlet Gaetano. Hera Alvarez, the manager, heads out to the bump. Second start since coming off the injured list is complete for Gaetano, and both of his outings haven't gone to plan, but right now it's just about making sure that he stays healthy. King Jr. picks it up, fires it back into second to keep Cano at first, and that is a very long single for Cano, but he continues his top of the third inning and this amazing offensive pace for Daytona. He didn't even give us time to introduce the new pitcher on the bump. That is the right-hander Noah Takis. So the night is done for Joan Leg Gaetano. Jalen Hairston is the batter now. Noah Takis is 1-6 with an 8.19 ERA. He's making his 25th appearance out of the bullpen this year for the Marauders. 27 strikeouts as well. Finds the inside corner with a fastball at 92, and the count evens at 1-1. Takis grew up in Canada, played his college ball at Sacramento State, and he has always said that he loves the Bay Area. He's been going through a rough stretch as of late, though, out of the bullpen. Now, he only allowed 1 run over 2 innings against the Cardinals last week. That was a step in the right direction. It's really the 2 innings before that. He allowed 6 runs on June 23rd over just 2 innings. The walks have been unusual for him because when he opened up the year with the Marauders in April, he was really solid, and you never worried about Noah Takis not finding the strike zone. On the ground, off the glove of Mola. Ovaille's there, off balance throw, and a beautiful play from Frederick Ovaille on the backup. Now, really, those are the kind of plays that Frederick Ovaille has been making, and you see that smile right there. He is one of the most joyous players that Bradenton has had this season. He's just so smooth. He knows he's going to make the play. He's a very confident now 19-year-old kid. And really, every single time the ball is hit to the right side of the infield, he's right there to make the play. Ball bounces in the dirt, but back picked by Perez. 2 gone and a 4-3 lead for Daytona. It has been the exact opposite of what we have witnessed during the first 2 games of this series. They've both been pitching duels, even though they've been walk-offs, and today it's all about the offense. Just misses the low and outside corner at 91 miles per hour, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Also for Takis, before he gave up the 6 runs over 2 innings against the Cardinals. The last time he pitched here at Lecom Park, he allowed 4 runs over just an inning and a third. He ended up getting the loss, and he does have the most losses on this Marauders pitching staff. Something that's really hurt him, though, is he's not been able to get outs in these spots with runners in scoring position. Opposing hitters are batting .296 in these spots. On the ground right side, Ovaille dives, spins, fires. Got him just in time. Another excellent play from Frederick Ovaille. We go to the next inning. 4-3 Tortugas on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Not buying into it. I missed the strike zone on that pitch from Marty. 4-3 lead Daytona here in the bottom of the 3rd inning from Lecom Park. Eddie King Jr. pops it up, but out of play. Right behind Tome, and it's 0-1. Villafana is back on the bump for Daytona. The last remaining starter tonight after Joan Leg Gaetano was pulled in the top of the 3rd. So far, King Jr. is 0 for 1. He grounded out to second back in the 1st. That was just really a tough inning for Daytona when you go back and look at things. And it's crazy to think that depending on how this game goes, and if the Marauders end up winning by, a couple of runs or just 1 run, you can even go back to that 1st inning and say that that was the most pivotal point in the game. But it was when Villafana was able to get 2 up and 2 down. He got a pop-up into shallow right field, moon dropped the baseball, and it eventually led to a 2-run homer from Richard Ramirez. You take that away, it's a 4-1 comfortable lead. Check swing, and the appeal, he did not go around, so it's 3-2 now on the former Louisville Cardinal. 2, 3, and 4 due up offensively for the Marauders. Eglin Perez is in the on-deck circle. Now the payoff. Cracks it on the ground to short. Torres, so smooth. What a nice play. And how about the stretch by Doucette at first base? I don't think he was actually ready for the baseball. He had his left foot on the corner of the base, and it just seemed like an awkward stretch, but Torres got it out of his glove so quickly, and he knows that King Jr. can move down the first base side pretty quickly as well. But in this third inning, we're seeing some really nice plays on both sides from the middle infield. Perez takes one up and in. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Perez was the batter that ended up reaching on that drop ball by Moon. I guess I shouldn't say drop ball because it went down as a single. Talking with Eglin Perez today, he really was mentioning how he wants to start pulling the ball a little bit more despite having such a phenomenal approach at the plate. Chopper, another opportunity for Torres. And 2 gone. And maybe that just comes for Eglin Perez. You know, I feel like this is an era now that really emphasizes the power, and you want to see the home runs a little bit more consistently. Now, Perez is always somebody that is, he's trying to hit the ball into right field and stay back on the baseball and think middle. And maybe he's just trying to get those power numbers up. He still only has 2 home runs this season. And he hasn't hit a home run since May 20th against the Flying Tigers. So it's been pretty much a week over a month. No balls and 2 strikes on Richard Ramirez. Villafana looking for a 1-2-3 third. Just off the plate with an 89-mile-per-hour breaking ball, and it's 1-2. And the next pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So with that home run back in the first inning, Ramirez was able to extend his hitting streak now to 5 games. He's had a couple of hitting streaks that have gotten up to around 8 games this year. Foul tips it into the mitt of the catcher Francis, and Villafana with his best inning tonight has a 1-2-3 bottom of the third. We go to the 4th. You're watching Marauders Baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. They also look really clean. Pictures are great as well. Bernard Moon with a base hit into left field. It drops down in front of Christian Haugery to lead off the top of the 4th. Quick work against the new pitcher on the bump for the Marauders and the tall right-hander Erwin Ramirez. Ramirez is making his 2nd outing at the single-A level this year. He, like Carlos Mateo when we saw him last night, just joined the Marauders last week against Palm Beach. They were called up at the very same time. And in a way, like Carlos Mateo, now, what Mateo was doing last night with those 101, 102, a couple of mile-per-hour fastballs, that's not what Erwin Ramirez does, but he's still going to sit in the high 90s. There's a 96-mile-per-hour fastball down the heart of the zone, and the count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike to Nunez. Well, for Bernard Moon, after that single, he's already up to 2 hits tonight. 1-1 pitch. This one gets out of play, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nunez has pretty much had a perfect night at the plate so far. A single in the first and then worked a walk in the second. But this is a really tough battle, and somebody that is the exact opposite of Jonle Gaetano, the starter tonight. Stays alive at 1-2. It's still insane thinking about that at bat last night And that involved Carlos Mateo, where it went, I want to say it was like 14 or 15 pitches in the 8th inning when the bases were loaded, and it was awesome. You could feel that it was already before the at-bat even started because there were 2 outs in the inning. The Marauders were up by 1, and the Tortugas just were trying to get anything going with runners in scoring position. And for that at-bat to go like 14 pitches was insane. Ramirez, during that last outing against the Palm Beach Cardinals, did a lot of good things. Now, he walked 3 guys, but he still had 5 strikeouts over 4 innings, and he allowed 2 runs on a 2-run homer. Shoots this one down the left field line into the corner. Christian Halgery's able to get there for out number 1. So the first time that the Marauders have been able to retire Nunez, and here comes Lantigua. These are the matchups that are just so much fun. Going into this week, you kind of look for those power matchups, and this is one of them. Ramirez has that overpowering heater that sits at 96, 97 on the radar gun, and then here comes Lantigua, who has got a lot of power himself. Out in front of a slider at 86 miles per hour, and it's no balls and 1 strike. Ramirez signed with the Pirates as an international free agent back in 2024. On the ground to third, Iredale waits back. Out at second, out at first. 5-4-3 double play, and Ramirez puts up a 0. We'll be right back on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. July 4th Independence Day hats that the Marauders will be wearing over the next couple of nights. Pretty clean look. I like the cream color with the red and blue lines across the brim. So the Marauders will be wearing those over the next couple of nights as they take on the Tortugas. They're trying to pull off 3 wins in a row this week tonight. They trail Daytona 4-3 as Braylon Brazoban is leading off. Villafana back on the bump, and the pitch. Smacks this one high in the sky. Deep right field. See ya. Second home run of the week for Braylon Brazoban, and he's heating up. The big thing for Braylon Brazoban has been trying to hit the breaking stuff. He can absolutely torch a fastball, and both home runs against Brazoban this week have been pretty much fastballs middle. I mean, this guy is way too talented at such a young age as well that he's not going to miss that pitch. Iredale fouls it off down the first base side, and it's 0-1. You just wonder why anybody is throwing fastballs at all to Braylon Brazoban. You think back to that home run on Tuesday, and I mean, it was pretty much the same exact pitch. I want to say it was about 3 ticks down on the velocity, but it was middle. Now, obviously, the Tortugas aren't trying to throw it right down the middle. They're trying to hit a spot, whether it's on the outside or inside part of the plate. But again, it really doesn't matter. You take the risk of missing with that fastball, which he's so comfortable hitting. Liner into center, and Brent Iredale already has 2 hits tonight. Really, the development of this middle of the lineup for the Marauders has been outstanding, and it goes back to June 11th when Brent Iredale returned from the injured list, and he's been hitting home runs nonstop. It sounds like a cannon going off when he makes contact now. He's been that locked in at the plate. Christian Halgery shows bunt, pulls it back. 1 ball and no strikes. Halgery was working on his bunting today in the cage, so he is well prepared if he needs to try to lay one down again. This time he swings and ropes it into right center field. Iredale puts the stop sign at second. And Bradenton has come alive offensively in the bottom of the fourth. A home run and back-to-back singles off of Villafana. Well, it's not like Christian Haugery has been, having these 4-hit or 3-hit games, but I will say we touched on it when he had the walk-off homer, and we were actually thinking about it as he was going through that at-bat in the bottom of the ninth inning. But Haugery has not been able to get consistent hits really since the middle of May. And we were wondering maybe having a clutch hit in that spot will start to get him going at the plate. There's another really good sign here early in the game. He's able to sting a baseball into right center field and just get it past the second baseman. And maybe we'll continue to see Haugery play really well or hit the baseball really well going into this weekend and go on that road trip to Fort Myers, because they need every bat that they can get when they go into that road trip next week against the Mighty Muscles. Here's now Raymond Mola. First offering to him. Back pick down to first. Haugery slides underneath the tag. Fort Myers is like they were in the first half, towards the top of the West Division standings to begin the second half. They're right now in second with a 7-3 record because Tampa has continued to play really good baseball. They're at 8-3. Bradenton, Clearwater, and Dunedin all 5-6. Lakeland at 4-6. Tampa's had the best start in the entire FSL in the second half. Mola's out in front of a breaking ball, and it's 1-2. Villafana is about to throw his 55th pitch of the night. Trying to get a double play to get him back in this game. Raymond Mola was able to connect for an infield single last week against the Cardinals. That was his first single-A hit, but he's now really trying to drive the baseball now. He's played in 4 games. He has just that 1 hit. Last time that we saw him was actually against Palm Beach during the series finale. He went 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. So 7 strikeouts through 4 games. 1-2 again, and he swings and misses for strike 3. Well, I feel like for a lot of guys that started at this level coming up from the FCL, they either start really hot at the plate and it looks like they haven't skipped a beat, or it takes them a little bit to get into it. And it feels like Mola's really going through that stretch right now as Frederick Ovalle foul tips it into the mitt of the catcher, Francis. All knotted up at 4 here in the bottom of the 4th inning, thanks to the solo homer from Braylon Brazoban. 1 gone, second and first. And Ovalle takes a changeup just off the black. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ovalle is already 1 for 1. He had a single the last time that he was up in the second. Villafana actually started this season out of the bullpen, and he was so good out of the bullpen with a .57 ERA that Daytona thought to themselves, hey, let's put this guy in a starter role. Now, overall, his numbers have still been good this year, but the starter numbers are not as good as what he was doing out of the bullpen, which that's hard to beat. A .57 ERA over 5 relief outings. He allowed just 1 earned run in 15 2/3 innings. Takes it outside for ball 4, and the Marauders have the bases loaded for Antonio Pimentel.
Number 32, Antonio Pimentel.
Well, Villafana has consistently had trouble throughout this entire game. Now, his best inning was the bottom of the third. He had the 1-2-3 inning, but he got into some trouble in the first, some trouble in the second. But this is really the first time that he's felt the pressure with runners in scoring position and obviously with the bases loaded. So it's interesting to see how he handles this at-bat against Antonio Pimentel. But he seems like somebody who's still really confident in his breaking stuff. Now, maybe a little bit easier for Antonio Pimentel to attack a pitch that he wants because Villafana only has a 3-pitch mix. It's the fastball, slider, and changeup. And with the bases loaded, he's going to go with what he's most comfortable with. There's a fastball up. And you can just really kind of shuffle it down to what pitch you want to attack for Antonio, depending on what he's been able to throw consistently in this game. 1 ball and 1 strike now. Antonio Pimentel, the new consistent leadoff guy in this Marauders lineup, trying to come up big. 1-1 pitch. Pounds it down the right field line, but he hooked it too much, and it's 1-2. 0 for 2 tonight. He popped out in the first and flew out to right field in the second. An international free agent signed back in 2023. Long set, the 1-2. Just off the plates on a changeup. It looked like that time from the right-hander, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Pimentel, for somebody that hits consistently out of the leadoff spot, he already has 22 RBIs. He's good in these spots. Swings and misses for strike 3. So a huge out number 2. And the inning continues for Eddie King Jr. Both of the outs in this inning have been on strikeouts, and I mean, that's got to really give you some confidence if you're Villafana. Skies this one out of play behind home, and it's 0-1. Well, this is turning into a really big spot for Bradenton because you got to think, I mean, Daytona is finally coming alive with the bats. A tie game, it just feels like this moment Eddie needs to do something here. Takes it off the plate, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. King Jr. is the home run leader for the Marauders. He's up to 9 this season. His last home run, though, it's been a little bit. June 19th against the Threshers. He's due. The 1-1. In the dirt. Nice stop by Francis. Now this is the spot for King Jr. Maybe sit dead red on that fastball. If he's feeling comfortable, the changeup, but he's gone back-to-back breaking pitches with that slider. Maybe the fastball here. 2-1. Stings it into right field towards the warning track, but playable. Hairston in the corner makes the catch, and the Marauders leave the bases loaded. Braylon Brazoban with a solo blast, all knotted up at 4 here at Lecom Park on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Some guys that are playing on this 2026 roster that will be a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates someday as well. Ty Doucette to lead off, and he takes a fastball low and inside, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Ramirez is back on the bump for Bradenton. 4-4 game here in the top of the 5th. It really has been back and forth. More so, Daytona's been able to take the lead, and then the Marauders tie it up. That's how it's gone over the last 2 innings. Ramirez put up the first 0 by the Marauders pitching staff tonight in the top of the 4th inning. And 2-0 pitch. Slams this one, but well foul. That's going to hit my office. Calm down, Ty Doucette. That was an absolute missile. I actually don't have an office. I don't know why I said that. But the office is here towards the clubhouse, obviously. 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball towards his back foot. That's a pitch that is going to make Erwin Ramirez from good to great. We know he has that overpowering fastball, but if he can throw that breaking ball towards the back foot of lefties, he's going to be special. 2-2. Bounces one in the dirt, and it's now 3 balls and 2 strikes. 4, 5, and 6, 2 up for Daytona here in the top of the 5th. Another gorgeous night in Bradenton. 3-2. Skies it left center field. Haugery at the warning track. Now backpedaling, gets turned around, leaps up, and the ball lands on the warning track. Picked up by Brazoban, and Doucette stops at second base with a double. And a really tough play for Christian Haugery. You can see him get turned around. He starts in the left center field gap, and then he starts to go the other direction and just in and out of his glove. Really good effort, though. And he continues for Rafael Torres. Already the 8th hit tonight for the Tortugas. Bunts it foul towards the on-deck circle. Early in 2025, Ramirez was averaging about 98 miles per hour on his fastball, but it was considered a heavy fastball by his peers. And the reason why it was this heavy fastball, or that was the name for it, is because hitters during his time in the DSL and here in the FCL, have little success elevating the baseball. I mean, it's just impossible. He also throws a changeup and a breaking ball. Now that breaking ball can be characterized as a slider or a curveball. It kind of has that same movement depending on how he wants to throw it. But he was one of the top international signings for the Pirates in that 23-24 class, if you combine the two. He's special. Just misses off the plate with a changeup at 86 miles per hour. Still only 19 years old. Faced a couple of lefties against Palm Beach, but they hit just 143 off of them. It's just insane to think how much velocity is in this bullpen right now for the Marauders. When you include Ramirez, Mateo, David Matoma, Gavin Adams is another guy that can hit 97, 98. Chopper to second, Ovalle fields to the chest, throws to first, and there's out number 1 here in the top of the 5th, but Doucette moves into third. And now the Marauders infield's going to move in, and it brings up Drew Davies. It feels like every single at-bat for Drew Davies to start this series has been with runners in scoring position, a chance to either give his team the lead or tie the game. It's been some really big spots. Swings at the first pitch and cracks it foul into the netting. Davies usually sees at least 4 pitches when he's going through these at-bats. He's one of the most patient hitters, but he's known for always making quality at-bats. Pops it up. Shallow right field. Ovalle going back. King Jr. coming in. It's Ovalle who makes the catch. No tag from third. And a crucial out number 2 for Ramirez.
Number 13.
Well, when this was off the bat and Ovalle started rushing out towards shallow right, you thought the worst. How many times have we seen like a little blooper that just dunks down with the infield playing in? But Ovalle, who again makes another nice play at second base and has been really valuable at that position, goes back and makes a fine catch. Here's now Ichiro Kano. .98-mile-per-hour fastball on that last offering from Ramirez. I know what you're thinking. Is Ichiro Kano named after Ichiro Suzuki? He is not. His first name comes from his father's Japanese surfer friend who was actually named Ichiro. Trust me, it's the first thing that I thought about when I saw. It's the first thing anybody thinks about when somebody is named Ichiro. Two balls and no strikes. I mean, we also have a pitcher on the Marauders that's been named after a baseball player. That's Jeter Martinez. Has said that his dad and his brother actually named him when he was born, and their entire family grew up Yankees fans. Hence the name Jeter Martinez. I'm going to assume that everybody knows what player he's named after. 3-0. Misses off the plates, and a 4-pitch walk to Ichiro. Here comes Matt Ford, the pitching coach. Yeah, it's just been a strange game tonight. Hasn't been a ton of walks, a lot of hits, but none of these pitchers, whether it's been in the starting role or maybe coming out of the bullpen. I know Ramirez put up a 0 in the bottom of the third, but they just have not been able to show off that consistent rhythm. And there's a lot of guys that kind of just, they don't really look comfortable tonight. And especially you go back to Jonleg Gaetano and how he looked in his first couple of innings. And again, he's still trying to come off the injured list and get comfortable with that. But you could definitely tell that it was not what we've seen, especially going back to the month of May for Jonleg Gaetano. Here's now Jalen Hairston, still 2 outs. Lifts this one right center field. King Jr. into the gap, still moving. He makes the catch on the run for out number 3. Back-to-back zeros out of the bullpen for Ramirez. We'll be right back. This is Marauders Baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Villafana is still on the bump for Daytona. He has really had to work tonight. He's already given up 7 hits. There's been a lot of base runners. He's had to get out of some jams, but they trust him to go back out here in the 5th. Eglin Perez to lead off, and he takes a breaking ball off the plate, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Eglin is 1 for 2, but he only has 1 hit this entire series. Smokes it foul into the netting behind home plate, and it's 1-1. I wonder if that swing right there is something that we mentioned earlier, how when I was talking with Perez in the clubhouse earlier today, he mentioned how he wants to pull the baseball just a little bit more. On the ground to short, Torres moves to his left, goes to first, pulls him off the base, but the tag is there on Perez for out number 1. But I wonder on that swing from Eglin Perez if that's something that we're just going to see a lot more of. If he gets into those hitters counts, we're really going to see him get amped up and try to basically drive the baseball out of the ballpark. Richard Ramirez takes a breaking ball low and inside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Ramirez has had another good night at the plate. He's already extended his hitting streak to 5 games with a home run back in the 1st. Ramirez is not a top 30 prospect on MLB Pipeline, but the way he's been swinging it, you would think he is. And it kind of goes to show you how deep the catcher spot is in this Pirates organization. Smacks this one deep left center field, but playable. Davies hauls it down for out number 2.
Number 13, Bradenton.
I mean, just on this Marauders team alone, you have Egleen Perez and Richard Ramirez, who are two of really some of the best players on this roster. You even go up to the major league level, Endy Rodriguez and Henry Davis. Bradenton launches left center field. Davies again in the gap. Deja vu moments, and he makes the play up against the wall for out number 3. Quick work in the bottom of the 5th. Still tied at 4 as we head to the 6th. You're watching Marauders baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. A lot of fun tonight here at Lecom Park. Maybe some people starting their weekend off early for July 4th on this Thursday night, taking off Friday. I don't blame you. Francis skies this one into center. Trotting back is Bradenton, and he snags it for out number 1. I feel like it's nice, obviously, that July 4th is on the weekend, but I feel like it's always a missed opportunity for some of those people that automatically get it off for work. So I got to think like maybe the best day to have July 4th off is like a Thursday, or have July 4th on as a Thursday. Because maybe you can start, July 4th on Thursday, you take maybe a longer weekend, it turns into a 4-day week. On the ground foul. Actually a 3-day week if you have July 4th on Thursday. Or even have it on that Monday where you get a longer weekend. But having it on a Saturday, you were going to get July 4th off anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. 0-2 now to Bernard Moon. Takes a breaking ball low and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, for Erwin Ramirez, he was able to have a clean top of the 4th. Got into some trouble in the top of the 5th, but still worked out of it. Moon skies this one. Left field. Haugerig near the bullpen. Leaps up, and it's into the bullpen. Tortuga is back on top. Solo homer from Bernard Moon. And we could tell this is how the game was going to be over the first couple of innings. And every time the Marauders have been able to come back, whether it's take the lead in the bottom of the 1st or tie the game in the next couple of innings, Daytona has always had an answer, and now they're back up 5-4. Pablo Nunez takes a strike on the inside corner. Now, I will say something interesting about Erwin Ramirez that's happened to him now over his first couple of outings at the single-A level and this is now his first 2 outings, and he's given up a home run in each of those outings. So, we talked about that heavy fastball and how it's really tough to lift, and here at the single-A level, they're doing some damage against it. That last offering to Pablo Nunez was 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Nunez has a single walk and also a flyout back in the 4th. So 1 for 2 tonight. And the 1-2 pitch. In the dirt, 2 balls and 2 strikes. What you just love to see, though, from somebody like Ramirez is he has that overpowering fastball, but really he's not afraid to consistently go with the breaking ball. I feel like he's thrown it a good bit tonight. Pimentel slides, bobbles, and he doesn't have a play. Nunez runs it out, and after 1 up and 1 down to start the top of the 6th, it's been a home run and an infield single to bring up Lantigua. Well, you also have to admire the fight of this Daytona team. It's been a long season, you can imagine, being the first team in the Florida State League to 50 losses. If they lose tonight, will be 25 games under 500. It just hasn't gone their way in any part of the game. Antigua went around on that check swing, so it's 0-1. And trying to bounce back after back-to-back walk-off losses can be challenging, but they've been able to do that tonight, responding to pretty much every run the Marauders have gotten tonight. Now, you can also imagine, to an extent, it's a little bit, maybe a little bit different for teams in the minor leagues to be 25 games under 500 compared to a major league team. And the reason I say that is because these guys in the minor leagues, they're 25 games under 500 are pretty much at that spot, but they're still fighting to move up in the organization. So it's not like, you can get down or kind of lose that motivation, I guess. Now, losing is tough in every asset, even though maybe the standings don't mean as much here in the minor leagues as at the major league level, but at the same time, these guys know that their own performance still matters, even though Daytona has been losing a lot of games. 1-2 now. Out in front of a slider, and Ramirez gets the punch out on Lantigua. So that's the second out of the inning. It's still going to get tougher, though, with Ty Doucette as the next hitter. There's that slider. You can see Lantigua. It was towards that outside part of the plate, almost middle, but change of speeds got Ramirez the punch out that time. Ty Doucette hits it on the ground to second. Ovalle, so smooth over there. Ends the top of the sixth. A solo homer from Bernard Moon. We head to the home half, 5-4 Tortugas lead on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. I mean, you think of all the years in human history. I mean, you go back to the Stone Age, the Ice Age, Industrial Revolution. Never has there seen a bigger fireworks show than what is about to happen tomorrow. Goosebumps right now on my arms. Sorry, I'm trying to contain my excitement. But no, it should be a lot of fun. Independence Day celebration tomorrow here at Lecom Park. Also will be our biggest crowd of the season. We always look forward to that, seeing a lot of Marauders fans join a very important celebration tomorrow, the 250th birthday of the United States. Brent Iredale to lead off. Already 3 balls and no strikes. Daytona was able to take a 5-4 lead in the top of the 6th inning on the solo homer from Bernard Moon. Overall, Brent Iredale has had a really nice night already. He had a double down the third base side. That was just kind of a chopper, and then he had a rocket single into center. It's amazing how this game works. It was still kind of a hard hit ball down the third base side. Anything really has to be to really push it down the left field line, but obviously it was just kind of a chopper that got by the bag and it was in the perfect spot, and then he hits it a million miles per hour into center, and it ends up just a single. In there for a called strike 3. So from 3-0 to a punch out, and there's one gone in the bottom of the 6th.
Number 43, Christian Halpery.
Christian Halpery now. First offering from Abraham Gaitan. Misses off the plate, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. So the night is over with for Davey Villafana. And overall, he gave up 4 runs. It wasn't the cleanest outing, but still was able to work out of some jams tonight. Check swing, but Halpery, he did go around. Delayed appeal down to first. So the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. But Villafana, I think the biggest thing was he wasn't allowing the Marauders to get that big inning tonight and keep his team in it. And obviously it worked out to perfection because he leaves the ball game, and if Daytona ends up keeping this lead, he's in line for the win. 2-1 pitch is a pop-up into left field. Davies has been busy, and he makes the catch once again. 2 up and 2 down.
Number 3, Mola.
Here's now Raymond Mola. Raymond Mola had a strikeout the last time that he was up. I will say, though, during his first plate appearance, he had an RBI sac fly. That's the best swing that he has had in what has been a week now at the single-A level.
One hit brings that average up a lot.
0-1 pitch. Check swing. Appeal down to first, and he did not go around. So the count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Abraham Gaitan is a native of Nicaragua, signed by the Reds as an international free agent in 2022. Last year he was with the ACL Reds, finished the season 4-3 with a 5.06 ERA. Looking for a clean bottom of the 6th. This is off the plate with a 93-mile-per-hour fastball, and it's 2-2. Very lean guy, projectable frame. Continues this developmental upside that he brings with that fastball sitting around 93, 94 on the radar gun. 2-2 pitch is slapped into center field, and Raymond Mola has his first hit here at Lecom Park with the Marauders. And he's just seeing the ball really well tonight. Earlier he smoked that line drive out towards center field. This time it's a slider that Gaitan tried to get it more off the plate, and it ended up sitting more middle. It was still towards the outside corner, but Mola stayed back and toned his stance and was able to shift it into center field. There goes Mola. Throw down to second, the tag, and he's out. An aggressive play from Raymond Mola, and that ends the bottom of the 6th. On to the 7th, 5-4 lead for Daytona on Sportsnet Pittsburgh here at Lecom Park, as the Marauders take on this Daytona Tortugas team. Erwin Ramirez is back out there, a 5-4 lead for Daytona. Fastball misses up and out at 97 miles per hour, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. 5, 6, and 7 due up offensively for Daytona, starting with Rafael Torres. Torres is 1 for 3 with a line-out double and a ground out. The story on this Daytona team has been hitting with runners in scoring position, and we've seen that through the first couple of games. They just have not been able to do it. Now, to begin the season for the Tortugas, there was just a lot that wasn't going right for them in every aspect of the game. The offense just wasn't clicking, pitching wasn't getting outs. But now here in the month of June, they've been playing a lot better baseball. But now, because of all the losses, what they're having trouble with is closing out games when they're close. And you can also see that through these first couple of games. It's been walk-off wins for Bradenton. So a walk to Rafael Torres, and the leadoff man is on for Daytona to open up the top of the 7th.
Number 5, Drew Davies.
Again, Ramirez has been good, but last time out through 4 innings, he did have 3 walks, so he's got a couple again here tonight. It's been a little bit of an issue. Still electric stuff coming out of his hands at 96, 97. Drew Davies now the left fielder. There goes the runner. Swing and a miss, throw down to second. Beautiful tag by Pimentel. But Torres gets around it, and he has a stolen base. Also a beautiful scoop from Pimentel. Kept the tag low. Torres was just barely able to get underneath it. Daytona looking for as many insurance runs as they can get through these last 3 innings, you can imagine. 0-1. Up and out at 98 miles per hour. 1 ball and 1 strike. Probably should be 2-0, but Davies, to protect the base runner, being a team player, swung at the baseball to make it harder for Edglin Perez on that throw down to second. On the ground up the middle. Pimentel's right there, though. Throws to first, and there's the first out of the top of the 7th, but a great job by Davies as Torres moves now 90 feet away from scoring. Really, both teams have been really good at doing this tonight. So when it's moving runners into scoring position, they'll get their leadoff men's on, and it seems like overall, again, both teams have done a great job of just moving him over and pulling the base bar, getting something into the outfield. Ichiro Kano sends this one into left field. Christian Halgreen near the warning track makes the catch. Here comes the tag from Torres, and he's going to score with ease. There's that example right there. All you needed was a deep fly ball into the outfield. He does a job, and it's 6-4 Tortugas. Two gone for Jalen Hairston. Already 10 hits tonight as well for Daytona. I'm sure if you go back to Tuesday's game, they were really frustrated that they lost that one, because at one point they were at 10 hits and they only had 1 run up on the board. Kind of reminded us of that Fort Myers Mighty Muscles game, where Fort Myers had 10 hits up on the board, only 1 run. I want to say Fort Myers, off the top of my head, ended up getting like 15 hits that game. It might have been the most that the Marauders have allowed this season, and Bradenton still ended up winning. Check swing from Hairston, but he definitely went around, and it's 0-1. That was an 84-mile-per-hour changeup from Ramirez. There is so much difference in velocity with that fastball to changeup. 0-2. So you want to be a baseball player. What? Is that Royland Portuondo? How is that possible? Is that how he gets ready out of the bullpen? How are we just finding out about this? Or is this a new routine? Line drive just over the leaping try of Ovalle and into right field. Ian Francis now the catcher. Do we have some kind of replay? Is that even possible? Can we even do that? The offering to Francis is a fastball that misses inside. 1 ball and no strikes. All right, here we go. Just getting ready to come out of the bullpen. Hey, guys, I got to go and stretch real quick. Well, I mean, that's somebody who's 6'6", 240 doing that as well. That's the greatest thing I've seen all season. It's the greatest thing I've seen in my life. I take back my first statement. 3 balls and no strikes to Ian Francis. I would love to try that in the booth to get like ready for games, but I'm afraid that I would actually fall out of the press box, and then there would be no more Marauders broadcaster. Here's now the 3-0. Up and in, it goes to the backstop, so Perez has to hurry back there and keep the runner at second. Still 2 outs, and here's Bernard Moon as Matt Ford goes out to have a conversation with Ramirez once again. Looks like another right-hander is warming up in the bullpen for Bradenton. It's Craybear Mendez. Well, this has just been the thing for Erwin Ramirez. Really the two most recent guys coming up from the FCL, actually especially with Carlos Mateo. Now, Mateo has done a much better job at finding the strike zone. I don't want to say it's been shocking that he's been in the strike zone so much, but it's wild that something has clicked so quickly for him. He's really had no problem with the walks during his first 2 outings, talking about Carlos Mateo, but coming up through the Pirates system, that's been a lot of what everybody is talking about on what he needs to control, but we haven't seen it here with the Marauders. Bernard Moon takes a fastball off the plate. It just has felt like the entire night that Daytona is just that one massive home run away from really putting the nail in the coffin in this game. Moon has one of the handful of home runs tonight. Go-ahead solo homer in the top of the 6th off of Erwin Ramirez. Also has a couple of singles, so he's 3 for 4. Back pick down to first, and it sails down the right field line. King Jr. has to hurry. Here comes the wave around third. The throw to the plate is cut off, and a massive mistake by Edglin Perez scores a run for the Tortugas. 7-4 now in the top of the 7th. Yeah, I mean, you admire the aggressiveness by Perez. He's got a great arm, but maybe just not needed in this spot. You're down already by a couple of runs. I know Ramirez is struggling to find the strike zone, but just a tough spot for that to happen. Ramirez steps off. On the ground to third, Iredale charges. Soft balance throw, picked by Mola. And there's out number 3. 2 more runs for Daytona. Time to get up and stretch at Lecom Park. This Marauders baseball. 9-1-2 due up offensively, starting with Frederick Ovalle. And there's been a couple of really aggressive plays from the Marauders over the last couple of innings that just have not gone their way. If you go back to the bottom of the 6th inning, Raymond Mola with 2 outs. Tried to steal second base, he was thrown out. And then last inning on the defensive side, Edglin Perez tried a back pick at first and sent it down the right field line. 2 balls and no strikes. Gaitan is back on the bump for the Tortugas, making his 2nd inning of work out of the bullpen. Still a close game, though, in a safe situation for Bradenton. And already 3 balls and no strikes to Frederick Ovalle. And really, we talk so much about the defense on Frederick Ovalle and some of the really good hits that he had last week, especially against Palm Beach, but he's worked a lot of walks. Takes all the way, and it's inside, a 4-pitch walk for Ovalle. Coming into tonight, 12 walks through 16 games. That's almost recording a walk in every single game that you played at the single-A level. So it's something that he's been able to do well, is overall just getting on base, a .388 on base percentage. Not slugging really at all right now with a .291 slug, but getting on base out of the 9th spot, he's been perfect in this role for the Marauders. I think probably that's the next step for Frederick Ovalle. Definitely going into the offseason. Now, again, he's still 19 years old. He's still growing into his body. That one goes to the backstop, and Ovalle hustles down into second. And here comes the pitching coach. After 6 straight balls have been offered up by Gaitan. But I mean, he's still growing into his body. It just turned 19 the last week of June. Here's a look at that last pitch. It seemed like it was a breaking ball that just did not spin whatsoever. .255 batting average, but that .388 on base percentage. That's just the next. Yeah, you're on TV, dude. Loving the moment. He did that pretty good as well. So 2 balls and no strikes to Antonio Pimentel. Cranks it down the right field line towards the corner. It lands fair. Rolls up against the wall. Ovaye's gonna score. Pimentel heading into third. Here comes the throw, and he slides in safely. RBI triple for Antonio Pimentel, and it cuts the lead down to 2. And Bradenton really needed that. You see a guy that's thrown 6 out of the strike zone to begin this inning, and Pimentel got something in the sweet spot. It was a fastball low and inside at 90 miles per hour. Maybe Gaitan took a little bit off just trying to find the strike zone, and Pimentel was barely able to keep it in fair territory, landed in the corner, and with his speed, anything in the corner here down that right field line at Lecom Park, it's an easy triple. Eddie King Jr. now with the infield in. On the ground, left side, scooped up. Looks Pimentel back to third, throw to first, and there's 2 away. All right, excuse me, now 1 out because we had the Ovalle walk and Pimentel triple. So that's just the first out of the inning. So the infield will continue to play in on the grass, and here's Eglin Perez. On the ground once again, backhanded it short by Torres. 2 gone in the inning. Just really tough that time for Bradenton, runner at third. It just feels like the way that this game has gone, because Daytona's been swinging the really good bats tonight. You just can't assume that they're going to stay at 7 runs, even though there's only 2 innings remaining. Ramirez socks this one. Deep left field, Davies at the warning track. He makes the catch. And that ends the inning. Marauders get 1. We head to the 8th, 7-5 lead for Daytona. You're listening to Marauders Baseball on the Marauders Baseball Network. Especially when we have some Marauders games, they're able to attend those, and looking forward to that project going on here at Lecom Park. Challenge coming up by Richard Ramirez. Eglin Perez is the catcher tonight for the Marauders. And it is a strike. So Bradenton still has 2 challenges remaining, and there is a new pitcher into the game for the Marauders. It's the right-hander Graybear Mendez. Pablo Nunez is leading off this top of the 8th. Seven to 5 lead for Daytona, but Bradenton had a real shot at making this at the very least a 1-run game in that bottom of the 7th. Ovalle walked, Pimentel tripled, so you already make it a 7-5 game, and you had some big bats coming up in the top of the lineup. It seemed like for sure, at the very least, they were going to make it 7-6, but then there was a couple of ground outs and a fly out, and it's still 7-5. On the outer edge for strike 3, but a challenge is coming up by Nunez.
The pitch is called strike, with average challenging.
Everybody looks up at the board, and it is a strike. And a great start for Mendez here in the top of the 8th. Mendez has been up and down this season out of the bullpen for the Marauders. He'll have, one outing where everything is just great and 2 shutout innings. The next one, he's giving up some really solid contact. Now, the best thing about him is he's going to stay in the strike zone. Antigua takes a fastball inside, but another challenge coming up by a Glean.
The pitcher called the ball. The catcher challenging.
He's already 1 for 1 in this inning. That time he missed.
The call is confirmed. Bradenton has 1 challenge remaining.
1 challenge remaining for the Marauders. And maybe Perez is sensing down by 2. We're getting into the later innings. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more aggressive to get his team back into the dugout. Sawed off Antigua on that fastball at 91, and the count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. Mendez is 3-0 with a 5.50 ERA. 33 strikeouts to just 12 walks on the year. Last time out, he allowed 2 runs over 2 innings during the series finale against the Cardinals. But before that, he was really good. Only allowed 1 run over 3 1/3 innings pitched out of the bullpen. Hot shot into right field. King Jr. dives, but he can't make the catch. And rolls right in front of him, and Antigua has his 2nd base hit tonight. Really tough play for King Jr. And this was a really sharp line drive, and he just wasn't able to hang on to it going down to the ground. So 1 on, still 1 out for Ty Doucette. This is somebody who can really turn this game around. And there for a strike, and it's 0-1. I feel like we're in the movie Stranger Things with the way that the sunset looks tonight. It's a mixture of purple and pink going down that left field line. Shoots this one out of play over the 3rd base dugout, and it's 0-2. Doucette has 1 hit tonight. He was able to lead off the 5th inning with a double. Just misses down on a 92-mile-per-hour fastball, and it's 1-2. Mendez has been in this Pirates organization for a little bit. He was signed as an international free agent in 2021, but he's still only 22 years old. On the ground to short, Pimentel has trouble getting it out of his glove. Gets the out at 2nd, but safe at 1st. And I think if Pimentel was able to have a smooth transition, it would have been a really nice 6-4-3 double play. Doucette is not the fastest guy in the world moving down that line. I mean, he gets it out of his glove right there when he catches the baseball, and they still possibly had a play, or Avalle thought he had a play, giving you the thought that if Pimentel was able to just field, throw to 2nd quickly, it would have been a 6-4-3. 2 outs now for Rafael Torres, and a fastball just misses off the plate. Mendez is someone who really relies more on his secondary stuff and really hitting the corners with his fastball. He's not going to throw a million miles an hour. He's consistently at about 90, 91 on the radar gun. See, I'm not crazy. It's like Stranger Things Season 2. Awesome baseball skyline tonight, though. And the 2-0 pitch. Fouls it right at home plate to make it 2-1. We do, before the night is done, have to give you a look at some scores around the Florida State League. It's right now the top of the 9th inning. Tampa and St. Lucie are tied at 5. St. Lucie has had a real tough start to the 2nd half. And Tampa's been the best team. Clearwater up 4-2 on Fort Myers in the bottom of the 8th. That's probably one of the most interesting series in the entire league this week, depending on, or really seeing that those are the top 2 teams in the West Division. Palm Beach is already up 10-2 on the Lakeland Flying Tigers. They are playing in the second game of a doubleheader, as now runners are on second and first, and it brings up Drew Davies. Palm Beach won game 1 7-6, and they're up 10-2 in the top of the sixth in game 2. So Lakeland is about to drop some more games to start the second half, and they've arguably been the coldest team to start the second half. On the ground, left side, and through into left field for a base hit. Calgary gets it in quickly, though, to stop the runner at third, and the bases are loaded. Well, these fastballs just mean a little bit more for Graybeer Mendez. If they're middle, it's, again, only 90-91, and these guys can hit it pretty well. And maybe that's the approach that you have to have, and that was actually a fastball towards the low and outside part of the plate. It didn't get exactly on that outside corner, and Davies took it in that direction, and a really nice swing. Ichiro Kano takes a changeup just off the black, and it's 1-0. And then that final score in the FSL, Jupiter 7-1 lead over the Blue Jays in the top of the seventh. Now the 1-0. Chopper foul. Over the last two innings, the Marauders have been, it feels like, hanging on for dear life just to stay in these games. Daytona scored 2 runs in the top of the seventh, but wasn't the worst thing in the world. They were still able to keep it a 3-run game going into the bottom half of the inning, and kind of the same situation here. On the ground to third, Iredale is right next to the base. He steps on it for out number 3. Mendez puts up a 0. Marauders down by 2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. This is Marauders baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. 7-5 lead for Daytona. As we move into the bottom of the 8th, Braylon Brazoban leads off. First pitch swinging, and it's a chopper foul down the first base side, and it's 0-1. Brazoban is 1 for 3, but has one of the biggest hits tonight for Bradenton. It was a solo homer in the bottom of the 4th, and at the time tied this game up at 4. It's another game, though, for the Tortugas. Even though they have a 2-run lead, you just have to feel that they're not comfortable in this spot still. And it's another game that you probably, they feel that they should be up by more than 2 runs. They're already up to 13 hits tonight. 0-2. Trails it down the first base side, but Doucette is right there behind the base. And there's 1 gone in the bottom of the 8th. Gaitan is back on the mound for the Tortugas. The way this Daytona pitching staff works is a little bit different than the rest of the Florida State League. They have a lot of guys that piggyback after the starter. And meaning they just have usually the first guy out of the bullpen after the starter. If he continues to put up some really good outings, then they're going to give him 3, 4, 5 innings after the starter goes. But it's not a large pitching staff on this Tortugas roster, so that might factor into it, that they just need more extensive outings from their guys, especially out of the bullpen now. 2 balls and no strikes on Brent Iredale. Iredale is 2 for 3. Double back in the second, single in the 4th. And the 2-0 pitch. Check swing foul right behind home plate, and it's 2-1. Iredale has really worked on his timing ever since coming off the injured list and going through all of those rehab assignments with the FCL Pirates, and it seems like it's really paid off. He's had another excellent night at the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes on the former Arkansas Razorback. He was working with Ryan Powers, hitting coach for the Marauders, in the cage earlier, and talking about really trying to drive the baseball a little bit lower into the outfield as Iredale takes it inside for ball 4, and the Marauders have a runner on base here in the bottom of the 8th. But I think that they were talking about, and it's been like this for the start of the series, really here in Bradenton, the ball just doesn't fly out here, and usually the wind is pushing in. And they were talking about, if you're really trying to lift the ball, the best way, I guess, to get home runs here is if you're trying to kind of hit down on the ball and hit these low line drives. If you try to lift the ball, it's just going to get caught up in the wind, pushing it back in from center field, and it's going to go nowhere. And this is something that they were working on today, which it's really been working for Iredale because he's been hitting home runs since coming off the injured list here at Lecom Park. He had the 2-run homer on the walk-off against the Threshers and had another home run against the Tampa Tarpons. It was a really nice 2-week homestand the last time that the Marauders were here at Lecom Park for Brent Iredale. Halgery skies it out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. For Christian Halgery, he is 1 for 3 with a single. There is a massive hole on the third base side. 1-2. Drills it on the ground to second. Moon fields to his left. Throws to first. And there is out number 2. Well, Moon thought about going to second base, but that would have been a really dangerous throw. It's a long throw, and it seems like he made the really good decision of just going to first, and no need to put a lot of pressure, especially when you have a 2-run lead. Calm before the storm, before we get into the weekends here in Bradenton on the roads. Mola sends it out of play right behind home, and it's 0-1. Raymond Mola's had overall a really nice night at the plate. RBI, sac fly. Also his first single with the Marauders here at Lecom Park. 0-1. Off the plate, evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. I guess maybe the next question that comes up for Daytona is, Gaitan is getting closer to 40 pitches. Does he go out there and try to shut it down in the 9th inning? Feels like another big run is out there for the Marauders at second base. But Gaitan is just 1 more pitch away from sending it to the 9th. 1-2. Misses up and in, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mola was a .258 hitter. That was over 12 games with the FCL Pirates. 2-2 pitch. 3 balls and 2 strikes. He did have some injury history. He's had some injury history to begin his professional career. He suffered a wrist injury during spring training and missed the entire 2023 season. But he's still only 20. 3-2. On the ground, foul. We also mentioned this last week, but Raymond Mola has some sneaky speed. Stole 15 of 16 bases between 2 levels in 2025. And when you really think of him, you think of more of the power and the potential of the power from the right side. Another payoff pitch. And misses high for ball 4. So that makes it second and first. And the Marauders will try to continue this rally with Frederick Ovalle. Ovalle has come to the plate 3 times tonight. He has reached base all 3 times, a single and a couple of walks. He does represent the go-ahead run if he can get his first home run with the Marauders. First pitch is a fastball right there at 90 miles per hour. Ovalle had his first 3-hit game of the season last week against Palm Beach. He started that week off 5 for 11. Stings it on the ground to first. Doucette fields near the base, steps on it, and that puts an end to the bottom of the 8th. Marauders leave 2-1. Let's go to the 9th. 2-run lead for the Tortugas on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. 7-5 lead for Daytona, so they're looking for some insurance runs. Jalen Hairston to lead off, so it goes 8-9-1 in this inning against Gray Bear Mendez. And the Marauders, who have been walk-off crazy this week against the Tortugas, if they're going to pull off another one, they got to have a 0 here. Swing and a miss by Jalen Hairston to kickstart this top of the 9th. Daytona loaded the bases in the top of the 8th inning against Mendez, but was unable to score. The 0-1. Finds the inside corner, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Hairston had a single all the way back in the 2nd inning. Also had a single the last time he was up, so a multi-hit game. Cracks it out of play, and it's still no balls and 2 strikes. Well, taking a look at the big picture for the Marauders this week against Daytona, we just knew that they're going to have to really feel like, or it has that feeling that they're going to have to win this series. Deep drive left field. Halgary at the warning track, leaps up, and it's out of here. Jalen Hairston goes yard and puts Daytona up by 3 in the top of the 9th. Well, a huge blow for the Marauders, and I thought Halgary was going to do his best Spider-Man impersonation, but that was a little too far out of his reach. And just like that, 3-run lead for Daytona. And you know, the Marauders' offense has been really good tonight. It's just, you kind of got to tip your cap to the Tortugas, and they've been due for really a game like this in this series. Laces it down the left field line. It continues to carry, and it bangs off the base of the wall. Francis heading into second. Here comes the throw from Halgary, and Francis is ahead of the throw. A home run and a double off of Mendez to begin the top of the 9th inning. Yeah, this was a hanger. Breaking point 81 miles per hour. If Francis was able to get any lift on this baseball, it's probably back-to-back homers. Still a safe situation, so Matt Ford heads out to the mound to have a conversation with Mendez. And as much as we were saying how important it was to keep this at a 7-5 lead, it feels even more important to keep it at 8-5, because now you're thinking to yourself, okay, 8-5, still, like we said, a safe situation. It gets to 9-5, asking your offense to put up 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. That's just it. It's a really tall task. Daytona has been swinging it good all series long, but finally they are finding ways to get those extra base hits and those hits with runners in scoring position tonight. Moon takes one down, appealed down to the bases umpire, but he says safe, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Moon has been great in this leadoff spot tonight, going 3 for 5. He's filling in for Kyle Henley, who is one of the fastest guys in the Florida State League, and when he is right, one of the best leadoff hitters in the Florida State League. And Bernard Moon is filling in for him really nicely. 2-0. Swings and misses, and it's 2-1. Overall, he was able to make up for that mistake that he made in the first inning after dropping a baseball in shallow right field, and then it led to the 2-run homer from Ramirez. That's when you thought maybe this was going to be another just frustrating game. Backhanded by Iredale at third, throws across the diamonds, and there's out number one for Mendez. Pablo Nunez, the batter now. Here comes Hera Alvarez, though, and that's going to do it for Gray Bear Mendez. He does not want the right-hander facing, as we're starting to get into the top of the lineup, or really the meat of this lineup for Daytona. Looks like David Matoma is coming in out of the bullpen for Bradenton. We're going to keep it here, though, at Lecom Park. During the month of April, where he would let up 5 runs, but it would be on like 4 walks or something like that. So I think that was the biggest thing, is you can still see improvement despite him having that really tough outing against the Cardinals. So he finishes up his warm-up pitches, and he's going up against Pablo Nunez. And a pitch clock violation on Matoma, so that's a great start. And these guys, they just get locked in a little too much, and they forget about the pitch clock when they begin their at-bat or begin their outing out of the bullpen. Well, Pablo Nunez has been getting on base at a very high rate throughout his professional career. He actually set the Dominican Summer League single-season on-base percentage record in 2025. That was set at a .542 clip. And that is insane in the professional ranks. Also played in the Australian League this past offseason. 4-pitch walk to Pablo Nunez. So that makes it second and first, and here comes Arnaldo Lantigua.
44,
Nunez played for a team called the Sydney Blue Sox. Wonder if Brent Iredale, growing up in Australia, if that's something that maybe him and his family always attended, going to those Australian baseball games. I actually asked Iredale how popular, because I've always wondered how popular cricket is in Australia. He said it's like baseball over there. You know, baseball is the 4 major sports here in America. Cricket's like that in Australia. Two balls and no strikes to Lantigua, so 6 out of the zone. Straight from David Matoma out of the bullpen. Got to find it here. And he does. 96 on the radar gun. Two 2-1 pitch on the way. Matoma has a 10.57 ERA and a 1-3 record. This is his 18th outing out of the bullpen for Bradenton. Now a chance to pick up a punch-out. 2-2 pitch. Just misses off the plate. He's inherited 6 runners as well this season, and 4 have scored. So these outings have been tough for him as well in these specific spots. Swing and a miss. He gets Lantigua with a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. This is just power versus power. It was a 3-2 fastball, and Matoma pretty much just challenged him and said, I'm going to throw this right down the middle. Let's see if you got it, and he did not. Ty Doucette is the hitter now for the Tortugas. Mashes it deep center field. Brazoban at the warning track, looking up, and it's a 3-run homer for Ty Doucette. And that might have done it for Daytona. 4-run top of the 9th, second homer of the week, and this is the most important one. It was a fastball at the knees, 97 to dead red center field. What a shot from the Tortugas first baseman. Rafael Torres now. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Well, this has turned into an 11-run game for Daytona. Not out of nowhere, but it's just been consistent offense all night long. A run in the top of the first, 2 in the top of the second, 1 in the third. And then Ramirez out of the bullpen was able to put up back-to-back zeros, gave up a run in the top of the sixth, and then here in the later innings, Daytona has really come along. 2 runs in the top of the seventh, and then this is their biggest inning of the night with 4. Two-one pitch. In the dirt, 3 balls and 1 strike. And misses down for ball 4. Well, just a reminder, join us tomorrow. We'll be back on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. We have our Independence Day celebration. Really to kick-start your July 4th weekend. First 1,500 fans in attendance receive a Marauders-themed USA t-shirt. He's got Marty on the center. He looks like Uncle Sam. He's got the top hats. Really good look. I'll be wearing mine tomorrow. We'll have it ready to go for the broadcast. But we also have the biggest fireworks show in Lincoln Park history post-game. Should be a lot of fun. And despite the Marauders being down by 6, still a chance to take a 3-1 lead in this series going into the weekend. And I think even with this loss possibly for the Marauders tonight, they're set up good on the pitching side the next couple of nights. You have Randall Navarro going tomorrow. He's the Pirates' number 24 prospect and has been absolutely dealing. And then on Saturday, it's Levi Sterling, and he's been really good as well. He struggled last week. I guess, everybody really kind of went through it on the pitching side against Palm Beach, but Sterling has been phenomenal. 3 balls and a strike now on Drew Davies. Three-one pitch. And it's 3-2. Davies with a single tonight. 1 for 4 and has also increased an on-base streak to 18 games. He's been locked into the plate. Swings and misses behind the fastball at 99. And that puts an end to the top of the 9th. 4 runs for Daytona. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Should be a lot of fun as the Marauders trying to get another win in this series against the Tortugas. Not looking great tonight, unfortunately. It's an 11-5 lead for Daytona after they put up 4 runs in the top of the 9th inning. Antonio Pimentel leads off. He does have an RBI triple. And the first offering of the bottom of the 9th is smashed into left center field. Rolling towards the warning track, Pimentel with a big turnaround first, sprinting into second, and he's in there standing up with a leadoff double. Well, obviously it's been nice, you can imagine, that Antonio Pimentel has been so good out of the leadoff spot. And I think the thing that's been a little bit different, and it's not just that he's been good, but he's been providing a lot more extra bases. At first, when he was just going through this really good stretch, it was a lot of singles and he was just getting on base. He has started to turn that into some home runs, and we've seen some doubles. And tonight, both of his hits, extra base knocks. King Jr. takes a fastball off the plate, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Jordan Little is the new pitcher into the game for Daytona. Francis, the catcher, calls time to go out and have a word just to settle him down. Well, if the Marauders are going to have 3 straight walk-off wins, they will have to have one of the best comebacks in franchise history tonight. Down by 6 in the bottom of the 9th. Need at least 6 runs. Good way to start, though, with the leadoff double. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes. King Jr., after getting 3 hits last night, is still looking for his first here. On the ground up the middle, Moon, the second baseman, plays with the backhand, throws to first, and he sails it to the dugout. Here comes Pimentel from third. Throw to the plate, not in time. So the Marauders will take it. That makes it a 5-run game. And Eddie King Jr. stays at first base. And really the second error that Moon has made, I mean, he just sailed it, and then Doucette would have been able to keep Pimentel at third if he stayed on his feet, but Pimentel noticed that he slipped and fell. That allowed him to, without hesitation, move and go and score. Eglin Perez lofts it out of play, and it's 0-1. Still a long way to go for this Marauders team. But at the very least, it seems like they're making the Tortugas work for it. King Jr. is already off and running towards second. And they basically just let him have it. Well, Jordan Little is 23 years old. He grew up in Matthews, North Carolina, and attended Virginia Tech. Off the end of the bat and fouled into the first base coaching box. 0-2 on Eglin. 15th round pick by the Reds in 2024. Big guy at 6'4", 205 pounds. He actually began his collegiate career at East Carolina before transferring to Virginia Tech for the 2024 season. This is upstairs with the breaking ball. On the outside corner for strike 3. And there's out number 1 in the bottom of the 9th. One of the biggest issues for Jordan Little during his college days was giving up the long ball. He allowed 10 home runs in 25 2/3 innings pitched in 2024. I mean, he's going to throw a lot of strikes, but maybe sometimes it's just a little too much, and he gets over the heart of the plate, and that's something in this Reds organization that they continue to work with him a lot, because he's a big guy. Again, he's got some great stuff with that breaking ball. You saw the slider to get the check swing and the strike on Richard Ramirez. And he's got a big arm. 0-1 pitch. Off the plate. This time Ramirez did not go after the baits, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. (11-6) Tortugas over the Marauders. And the 1-1. Just misses outside. (2-1) pitch. Line drive. What a snag by Doucette. Steals extra bases away from Richard Ramirez. Mercy. Now look at this play from Doucette. It was a hot shot and just lunged to his left. There's the tail end of it and robbed Ramirez of an easy RBI double. So 2 gone for Braylon Brazoban. That would have made it a 4-run game. and still only 1 out. Swing and a miss on that changeup at 84. Let's see if Little goes to that fastball. We've said it extensively. Bradenton is a really good fastball hitter. 0-1 as King Jr. takes third. Ground ball to the shortstop, Torres. This should do it. Throw to first. Beats Bradenton by a step. And Daytona gets their first win of this series. Final score 11-6. They finally got those big hits with runners in scoring position. The Marauders will be back to it tomorrow. We'll take a break, wrap things up on the post-game show when we return. This has been Bradenton Marauders Baseball on Sportsnet Pittsburgh.